And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast right here on BearcatJournal.com, brought to you, as always, by our good friends at the Holy Grail. Get down to the Holy Grail. Football season is here. Stop down Sunday for Bengals opening day as they take on the New England Patriots. Make sure you stop in and see our good friends at the Grail. They will get you taken care of. And remember, while you're there, get yourself a Cincy Light. They not only have the normal contribution to Cincy Reigns, but the Holy Grail will add an additional 50 cents off of every Cincy Light purchased into the Cincy Reigns NIL fund that supports the student athletes at the University of Cincinnati. So make sure you are supporting those that support us, and even more so, support the student athletes at the University of Cincinnati. Hi, everybody. Speaking of student athletes at the University of Cincinnati, hi, Dave. You're not important.
I know.
We'll get to you in a little bit. We are joined by Caroline Endres. She is a volleyball player for the University of Cincinnati. She is you're listed as a junior, but you're not really a junior, right? You're like a redshirt sophomore now?
No, I haven't done the redshirt thing yet, so I'm still a junior. Yeah.
Technically a junior.
Technically a junior.
But she is a NIL athlete for one of our newest sponsors, Live Healthy Hydrate. You heard about them on Sunday morning on the Bearcat Brunch, and we wanted to have Caroline on here to talk about Live Healthy Hydrate. And then, as you all know, a sport that's now near and dear to my heart because my volleyball daughter is a big UC volleyball fan. We will have Caroline Endres on to join us to talk about Live Healthy Hydrate, and also we'll get into the start of what has nationally been a wild start to the college volleyball season. My daughter was very upset this morning, Caroline.
From last night's games?
So not only is she a big UC fan, but she also loves Nebraska.
Oh, yeah.
And we got in the car to drive to school this morning, and she was like, "What the hell, Dad? They lost to SMU? SMU stinks."
They've got some pretty good transfers in there. They're doing pretty good.
Yeah. But they're using that new ACC money and buying all kinds of student athletes. So let's get to your NIL deal. You're the only outside NIL athlete on the women's volleyball team, I hear, right?
Currently, yes.
We're looking to get more of those if you're interested.
Yeah, we are.
Cincy Reigns. We'll get all the dots connected. You're local. You went to St. Ursuline. You played with Tri-State Elite, which is the number one club in the greater Cincinnati area. And take us through your journey. How did you first off with Live Healthy Hydrate? How did you guys get connected? And tell us a little bit about your experience so far with the product.
Yeah, well, so the way we got connected, I worked with our NIL office on campus. Eddie, yeah, he's awesome.
Eddie's the best.
And essentially, Live Healthy Hydrate reached out to him, and kind of saw me. So I went to St. Ursula. One of their nurses, Abby, also went to St. Ursula. So that was something that stuck out to them. I also have a little bit of a background in science, so they really liked that. So that's how we got connected, and I went in, got to meet them, try one of the IV bags, and loved it. I felt great. We had a 2-a-day, I believe, that day. So I had practice in the morning, went and saw them, and then went back to practice and felt great, like super hydrated, super energetic. It was awesome.
And I know everybody looks at this and thinks hangover cure. But that's not that's what they think of when they think of getting the IVs, having them come to your house, get you through a Sunday morning as you're watching the Bearcat Brunch. But it's a lot more than that, and for your purpose, for an athletic purpose, it's something that can kind of power you through.
Right. Yeah. And they even put like B12 shots in it, which is for energy, so it really helps, especially day before game days, to keep your energy levels up for the next day.
Take us through the volleyball journey. A star at St. Ursula Academy. How did the path to Cincinnati start for you?
Yeah, so I was a little late on the whole recruiting thing, but I was playing at St. Ursula, played at Tri-State, and coach came. So one of my teammates at the time, her sister played for coach here, and they came to a game. And after the game, coach was like, "Hey, I really like you. Like, you should come talk to us, take a visit." And I was like, "Okay, like I'll look at it." And it's right down the road. I kind of wanted to go far away, but once I got on campus, I was like, "This place is amazing." And being from here and getting to play for my city is something that I would not want to pass up.
Were you surprised at how much it actually ended up meaning to you since you did want to? This is a message for locals
Yeah,
all over that think
honestly,
they want to go away.
yeah. So I don't know if you guys know this. I'm also a mechanical engineering major here.
Oh, wow.
So getting to do that and also play the sport that I love was something that like I couldn't have even dreamed of doing anywhere else. And I just love Cincinnati, all of the doors that it's opened, the people I've gotten to meet. It's amazing and I love it.
Did you take the Alec Pierce route and graduate in 2.5 years?
No, because I'd be done in the fall. So I still have a few more years.
I still don't understand how he was able to pull that off.
I don't either. It's crazy.
Especially with a full football load and carrying Ryan Royer to a degree while he was at it. It couldn't have been easy.
Yeah, I've gotten to talk to Ryan a little bit too, just about like how he went through the whole sports and engineering thing. But
we should have. He does a show here, right?
Really?
He's on our Monday night show. We should have had you on Monday nights.
I did not know that.
You're much more timely than he is.
That's good. That's good to know.
Ryan's the king of at 8:00 when the show starts, we'll get a text that says, "I'll be there in 15 minutes."
That's funny.
Getting here, I mean, talk about the freshman season. You had a big freshman year. I know you probably don't anticipate that when you're going through the recruiting process, but you played a critical role in your freshman season.
Yeah, so during my recruiting process, I knew that there were players obviously older than me, and I was like, okay, my mentality going into freshman year was I want to learn as much from them. And in that year, it ended up we had some injuries, and I really had to step up, which was something I was used to because I had to do that a lot in high school as well. So I took that opportunity and did it. I mean, I had a lot of support, obviously, from upperclassmen on the team and coaches and whatnot. But yeah, it was something I did not expect, but I enjoyed it and really loved the opportunity.
Last year shortened a little bit because of injury, but you're back now. You're healthy. Yeah. You're ready to go.
Yeah, very healthy. I've honestly never felt healthier. Body's
thanks to Live Healthy, Hydrate.
Yeah, exactly. They're keeping me up. Yeah.
How's the talent level? I'm interested. Have you seen things take a considerable jump since the Big 12 has come along? Are you looking around and going, Absolutely. We're a lot better than we used to be?
Absolutely. I think even the freshman class that we brought in this year has been amazing. They have really elevated our level in the gym defensively. So it's been great having them in here. Yeah.
It was an old league last year. I mean, I was a large number of matches, and it felt like when you looked at it, like 6-year senior, 5th-year senior, 5th-year senior, 4th-year junior. I mean, it was kind of crazy the amount of like veteran talent that was scattered throughout the league.
Yeah, it's true. It's what COVID did to everything. Everyone got an extra year of eligibility.
Dave?
I want to ask you more about the Live Healthy Hydrate, because we did, I have a show Sunday morning, Bearcat Brunch. They're great to jump on as a sponsor of ours. Did the ad read, did a little research, but kind of take us into like, what is the process like? Do you go in, they give you a nice big comfy chair, you lay there and watch a movie? How long does it take to do the IV? Kind of for anybody that listened on Sunday and is like, oh, that's something that I might be interested in doing. Kind of walk everybody through kind of the process of getting set up and what to expect.
Yeah, so usually I'll text one of the nurses before I go in there. If not, they'll usually prepare a bag for me beforehand. If not, I'll go in, talk to them. They'll ask me about how I'm feeling, kind of what I'm wanting. So they have certain like immunity, like say I'm sick, like they prepare an immunity type bag. If I'm looking for more of the performance bag, they'll prepare an IV bag more geared towards that. So they're very good about that and just talking about what you need specifically and not just like handing you fluids. So they'll get you hooked up to an IV, and then you'll get a big, nice massage chair. I love those chairs. I could go to sleep in them. Hang the bag up.
They don't put one in your locker room like they did in the basketball locker rooms?
Oh, they should. No, we don't have enough space yet for that. We're working on getting a new locker room. But yeah, we get hooked up in the massage chairs, the IV sits. I take my IVs pretty quickly. Mine are probably about 30 to 45 minutes. Some people might take longer. But while I'm there, they usually give me a blanket or something. But I do homework, watch film, play on my phone, things like that. Talk to them. I'll talk to them the whole time sometimes.
Well, I think it sounds great. I'm dealing with some health things right now that might be reaching out to them to see if they might be able to help me out with a little extra. So
yeah, they're awesome. They're super easy to get into too.
You need the B12 shots, Dave. A little B12.
Well, right now, I don't know what I need, but I need something. This is one of the more confounding ailments that I've had. But for those that aren't super familiar with ladies volleyball and the Big 12, how is the conference, top to bottom? Is it a super strong conference? Where is it everybody Big 12 basketball, great. Yeah. Big 12 football maybe doesn't have the top end team, but super competitive top to bottom. How do you guys categorize the Big 12 and kind of where you're striving to be this season?
Yeah, the Big 12 is probably one of the best conferences top to bottom to be. It's the most packed in conference, I would say. I think 2 years ago, about 50 to 75% of the conference made it into the tournament. So as far as depth, it is the best conference in the NCAA for volleyball, which we're so excited to be a part of it.
And even though they left, the last two national champions were from the Big 12 in Texas.
That is true. But even then, you go through Baylor, TCU, Kansas, BYU, Utah, Arizona now, and Arizona State joining. Great competition through and through.
Did you miss conference play last year or non-conference when you were out?
Conference.
So you didn't get the Provo trip and all that fun stuff?
We got to go to Provo my freshman year. So I did play at BYU. That was when we played Pitt and BYU when they were both top 10 teams my freshman year. But last year, no, I didn't get to go to the BYU trip, which is kind of sad. But
unfortunate. I'll talk to Molly about it. You weren't allowed to fly, were you?
No.
Not allowed to do anything.
Nope. I did
Not really. No screens though, right? Or did you have to do the glasses?
I had the glasses. The rules are less strict than you'd think. It was kind of up to me and up to my pace if I could handle it. But I borrowed through.
It seemed tough. You get coached by Molly every day. You got to be a little tough, right?
A little bit, yeah.
She's feisty.
Oh, she's awesome. I would play for her any day.
She's great. You don't know this, but my daughter has done the little player tunnel and.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's done all that stuff with
That's
you guys
awesome.
In the past. So Molly spoils her, gave her a gift pack, and she every time she comes, she takes pictures now for football and basketball for Bearcat Journal.
Oh, nice.
And every time we get to campus, can we go see if Molly's in her office? Can we go see if Molly's in her office? I'm like, Kelsey, will you leave her alone? She's busy.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
How much are you a volleyball junkie? Do you get into the national scene? Do you keeping up with everything that's going on?
Yeah, I always am watching volleyball. Even in class, it's kind of a bad habit. I'll be watching film, watching whatever's on. I've been like that since I was 12. So I just eat, sleep, and breathe it.
How much did it help being growing up in Cincinnati? It's one of the bigger volleyball cities in the country.
So much. I think just from girls around me in my club, I grew up watching one of the best setters now in the NCAA. She was on my high school team. So growing up and watching her, and then girls in college, I would just literally just watch volleyball games just to watch setters. So I think growing up in Cincinnati and having a huge network of amazing coaches and girls, it definitely helped.
Are you running privates already? I'll send my daughter.
I am happy to. I haven't had the opportunity or the time yet, but I 100% would do it. I love it.
We ran into, I can't remember her name. She coaches at Tri-State now. She played at Cincinnati 2 or 3 years ago.
Peyton Frederick?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was a senior when I was a freshman.
Okay. We were flying to nationals in Orlando, and we had a layover in Charlotte and ended up being stuck there for like 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
And Kelsey looks over and she's like, that girl's got a UC backpack and like a player lanyard on it.
Yeah.
And we went over and introduced ourselves, and I took a picture and sent it to Molly, and Molly's like, what in the world?
What are you doing?
She coached like 12s or 13s, I think, last year.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Yeah, for Tri-State. So, but yeah, when you're ready, I've got a setter upstairs. We'll get some private thing, Caroline.
Yeah, I will absolutely help her out.
Have you had the chance to meet Jordan yet, Thompson?
Yes, I met her, I think it was during the fall of my freshman year. She hasn't been back on campus yet, but she's coming back for our Morehead State game.
Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame. Yeah, we're all super excited for that.
Was that a recruiting like enticement of like, hey, look, we've got one of the best hitters in the world here?
A little bit. I got to talk with Hannah Bollinger a lot, who played with Jordan. And just in one of the questions of like, what set your experience with UC apart was kind of what I asked her. And she was like, the opportunity getting to play with a now Olympic gold medalist was something you can't even compete with. And I was like, oh yeah, true.
That would be fun setting her, because it doesn't the range would be a lot larger than a normal person.
That's one thing I haven't gotten to do that I would love, Jordan. So I would love to set her.
Just come back and hit some.
Yeah, just like an open gym. We'll go get some reps.
Yeah. Dave, you got anything else?
No, you guys nailed it.
All right. Well, Caroline, thank you.
Happy to hear more stuff about our new sponsor. So.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.
Once my high school volleyball situation dies down a little bit, she is going to drag me to every match that we can be at. So I will say hello here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, of course. Can't wait to see you there.
All right. Appreciate it, Caroline. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
You too. Bye.
There you go. Caroline Endres, St. Ursula Academy, Tri-State Elite, now UC Bearcat. And the first NIL athlete, the first of many NIL athletes on the volleyball team, with our new friends at Live Healthy Hydrate, who are sponsoring the Bearcat Brunch. That's a lot of words, Dave.
It is.
But, you know.
You were scaring me a little bit when I said live the other day, and then the next
said
day
live.
Said live. I was like, oh God, did I say it wrong? And
no, I'm just an idiot. I'm doing all of the work for Aaron, because Aaron is still nursing himself back to health. So I'm trying to do everything on the front end and the back end today. And I said live instead of live, and I screwed that up. And then I said St. Ursuline instead of St. Ursula. So I did not have a good start to this show, Dave.
It's okay. We can rebound. It's all right.
Yeah. I mean, I powered through.
It's all right.
Like I don't think you would know I was screwing up if you didn't know I was screwing up. Let's go ahead and we will timestamp that as we get rolling here. You had a chance, Dave. Gary, that our contact with Live Healthy Hydrate and with Turtles Brew, hooked me up over the weekend, Dave, and I brought some of this to the tailgate, and he wanted me to bring it up here because they are debuting this weekend at Martino's, and they will have it there Saturday before the Pitt game. So make sure if you're at Martino's, it's called Wicked Hair, and it is a new alcoholic beverage. It is 8%. Turtles Brew, 6%. Wicked Hair, 8% ABV, Dave. Gary, my guy at the company that handles a lot of this stuff, said it tasted like Kool-Aid. And I told him the Kool-Aid he was drinking tasted a lot different than the Kool-Aid I was drinking because it had some kick to it.
Yeah, yes, it does.
It was good.
You can certainly taste the whiskey in the Kool-Aid.
Well, it's not whiskey, I think.
It's
I
not?
think
I
it's
thought
no,
stuff
it's
was whiskey, wasn't it?
It's
So
grain. No,
it's
the Wicked Hair is different.
Oh, it's different than
Yeah.
Turtles Brew. Okay.
Yes, so it's a different. It's in cans instead of the pouches. I had a couple friends try the Turtles Brew pouches this weekend. My best friend Al and his wife, I took them a couple of those, and they loved the Turtles Brew, the old school, the OG. But the Wicked Hair is the new kid on the block. That is going live at Martino's Saturday before the Pitt game. We tried fruit punch, lemonade, and mango tea.
Oh.
And all three very good. And like I said, a little bit more oomph than Turtles Brew.
Yeah, definitely.
But very good. So make sure you stop by and check that out. But I'm gonna get this tweet out because I was busy and didn't get the tweet out.
That's all.
But Dave, any final thoughts on the 38-20 victory over Towson?
I mean, I don't know how much. We talked about it for 45 minutes Sunday. You guys talked about it for, at least an hour or so on Monday. I don't know that there needs to be a whole lot more words said about Towson. I think, I'm happy to get out of a game like that and with what appears to be no significant injuries. I mean, that's the thing is you want to get through the spring or through the fall camp because you can't get ready to play football without playing football. So you're always at risk of guys getting hurt. And not that it makes it any better if they get hurt in a game, but you don't want to go into a season already down, any level of player, whether it's major contributor or freshman that you're not expecting to play. You want to have everybody available, and then you go into a game that, you should win fairly easily, and they did. And so you want to get out of that situation with as clean of a bill of health as you can. It appears that's the case. I think, part of, not that they did it on purpose, but I think it is a side benefit of playing so many guys as you're just taking the number of snaps and potential chances of injury from your frontline guys down a bit. Because, I'd rather make sure that every one of those guys is ready to roll starting this Saturday versus playing them, 10 or 15 more snaps last Saturday.
That's really, I think, outside of the obvious of making sure you're getting, and I think it's always important when a coach says something on Tuesday to expect it to happen on Saturday, right? And Satterfield told us the Tuesday before the Towson game that it was important to get as many guys on the field as possible because you never know in week 5, week 6, week 7, whatever it is, when you're going to need them. And you're going to need them. And he said that was something they were going to do, and they did it. So that's the obvious positive of it is now you have a bunch of guys that have been on the field on game day in a live situation. The other part is you did kind of protect yourself you insulated yourself from your starters being at risk because they weren't on the field for a whole bunch of snaps.
Right.
So, kind of a double win there. But
for the game itself, I don't really have much else to say that I didn't already say Sunday and that you guys haven't already, you guys didn't already cover.
Right. Just, I think the main takeaway, at least as much as you can, Brendan Sorsby looked very good.
Yeah.
And that is, you know just as well as I do, and everybody watching this podcast, if you're good at quarterback, not even great, if you're good at quarterback, it can cover some warts. And hopefully, I do think the defense is probably going to take some time to get up to speed in Tyson Vite's system. It's a brand new system with a bunch of new players. It's going to take a little while to really get that fine-tuned. If your quarterback can carry a little bit of the load for a little while, that should help.
Right. And for defensively, I'm not sure if you guys mentioned this or not, but at least at this level, it's also his first time calling plays in a game.
Yeah, being a coordinator.
And I'm sure, he's going back and watching the film going, man, I probably shouldn't have called that there. Like, not that it's not an excuse or anything, but it's just, you get into the moment and you're just worried about who knows what. And you just like offensive coordinators, I mean, make plenty of bad calls. I think it's harder to see when a defensive coordinator would go back and go, yeah, that probably wasn't the right call. Because I don't think, just as the general fan, we're not – offense is very easy to tell. Like, was the play successful or not? And why was it not? Can be a player thing, can be a call thing. Defensively, you could have the greatest call ever on, but if one guy or two guys does the wrong thing, it messes it up, or vice versa. You could have a terrible call and a guy makes a great individual play. But I'm sure there were moments in that game where he's like, yeah, that probably wasn't the right call, or the personnel packages probably weren't what we, truly intended them to be. So it's just it's a learning curve. There's it's a lot different because, like, how many times in practices are they truly game planning? Even, how many times in practices is the offense audibling to a totally different look, and then the defense is changing? Like, I don't know, you go to all of them. Like, how many times in practice are they, subbing guys in and out, play to play? I feel there's just a lot of different elements to what you have to do in a game versus in practice, and I think they're going to get better. Like, his track record just is not one that would give me any cause for concern right now. Like,
right.
If there's alignment issues, if there were, gap issues, if there's run fit issues, like, that stuff is all correctable. Like, it's
right.
all about confidence. It's all about, running a play thousands of times and knowing what the guy next to me is going to do, what the guy behind me is going to do. And that's going to take time. Like, it didn't work last year on defense, so they brought in a bunch of new guys. I mean, we can make this very local and be like, look at how bad the Bengals defense was last year just because they replaced two safeties. It made the linebackers question what they were doing because they were trying to help the back end get lined up right and probably not as focused on what they were like. You just have a bunch of new guys, and it's gonna take time to find the right mix. It's gonna take time to find the ones that kind of instinctively know what to do, and communication is certainly going to be key. But there's still the level you have to get to of, like, I see this formation, I automatically know what to do, and I can do it at breakneck speed. Not, I think I know what to do, and I can, not that they ever go like 75%, but there is a difference between, the coaching lexicon, fire their guns. Like, you see it and you are gone. And especially at the linebacker position, you hear that a lot. Like, it's a run because of a specific key, and you are firing your gun. And I felt like there was not as much of that because they're probably still just like, okay, these guys are doing something different than, this guy's in a position, this guy's on the offense is lined up over here. And I was used to, when we were talking about this in practice, we thought he was going to be right here. And so now I'm questioning myself a little bit, and I'm not able to instinctively just go. And the only way that it changes is just with reps, with time, in-game situations for everybody, coaches, players. They all need the reps. They all need to see a bunch of different stuff. And learn and know what to do. So, I think the good part is we feel like we're a more athletic unit, so that can cover up some of those things sometimes. And so hopefully that catches up and we see a nice jump. I know all coaches like to say you can take your biggest strides from the first game to the second game. It's always a very tried and true coach's cliche. So, we'll see what happens.
Yep. All right, let's get into the Pitt Panthers. Our opponent preview this football season, brought to you by our good friends at Home Field Apparel. It is the can't miss kickoff campaign. The the coaches' jackets are live. Dave sent me a text. He's got the originals, the old school, the real coaches' jackets. But if you don't have one of those, you can get them at homefieldapparel.com. They also have an incredible selection of UC apparel, retro logos, you name it, joggers, hoodies, t-shirts, crew necks, long sleeves, quarter zips, hats. They've got it. It's an incredible collection for UC. They've had multiple releases now. So when you go and check it out, it is as extensive as anything you're going to find out there on the market. And I've got it. I wear it all the time. I probably should have put one on today, but I forgot because I got home from picking Kelsey up from volleyball practice. I made Kelsey's favorite dinner, chicken and mac and cheese. I don't know how that is somebody's favorite dinner, but she wants it at least once, usually twice a week. So we did that and then jumped in here and we are good to go. But next week, I will make sure to have some Home Field Apparel on. And you can check it out. Homefieldapparel.com. Use code BCJ24. BCJ24, and you will get 20% off your purchase.
Looking Dave, at that forecast with the noon game, you might need a coach's jacket Saturday morning. It's going to be quite a bit chilly for the different tailgate than last week.
Be a little chilly for the tailgate if things all go as planned.
I'm here for it.
I mean, what a high of 72 a high of 70 on Saturday. It's going to be down in the low 50s Friday night.
It's like humidity, like dew point in the 30%, like 30 to 40%. It's going to be delightful. Oh, can't wait.
It's going to be delightful.
Can't wait. No.
Hopefully the noon kickoff, we can get home, get done, get all of the content up, and then I can still have time to maybe have a fire on Saturday night when it's going to be 45 degrees out.
That's right.
Probably not. I know that's wishful thinking, but I see 45 degrees on the weekend, and I think fire.
Oregon Boise 10 p.m. Peacock game on the iPad and have a little fire out there.
Yeah. I guess I can't. Apparently, I have to pick Kelsey up at school from a volleyball tournament. She's probably not going to get home until 10, 11 o'clock at night. So never mind. No fun for me on Saturday.
Well, you have 2 days to find someone else to pick her up.
Yeah, Kels, find a ride home. Dad's working.
Yeah.
The Pitt Panthers, Dave, they impressive offensive performance, but kind of like you see, if you look at the details, that game was a little closer than the score indicates. It was 31-24 in the middle of the third quarter. They've got a younger redshirt freshman quarterback that transferred from Alabama. They're running an air raid offense. They are running it at a very high tempo. Give us the details on the Pitt Panthers.
Yeah, I went back and watched all the first half and into the second half. It was a very first game type of game. Like you had Pitt had a punt return for a touchdown where two Kent State guys somehow bounced off a 5'8", 875-pound punt returner. Kent State, bad tackling. So he scores on that. Then Pitt muffs a punt, bounces right up to a Kent State guy who runs that back for a touchdown. So probably not going to see either one of those type of things on Saturday, especially with UC punting. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of return yards against UC punting this year. in the first half, Pitt goes for it on 4th and 5, like inside the Kent State 20. They stop them, but get a targeting penalty, which it was the right call. But still, a targeting penalty could have gotten off the field, gives them a first down. They end up scoring a touchdown. So just a lot of just like in the UC game, you had a muff punt. Just some first game anomalies that you probably don't all see those happen in the same game. I like Pitt's receivers, so I think it'll be interesting to see how UC goes about defending that. They've got 4 very solid receivers and a really nice tight end in Gavin Bartholomew that we saw last year. So like that group a good bit, will be a good test. Holstein, this will be his, like you said, Eli Holstein, transfer from Bama, will be his first start on the road. I don't think I'd want to start on the road at UC. It's gonna, it's just a tough environment in general for most quarterbacks, but he's got a pretty live arm, throws an accurate ball. They do, at least against Kent State, it was the vast majority. And if you go and read Keegan's article, by the way, he did a nice preview article on Pitt. Gets more into like the individual players to watch. And he watched the game as well with a very heavy eye on Holstein, just similar to Sorsby getting their first real shots at these new schools. So just a lot of 1-3 step drops. So to me, if they're going to be doing that type of stuff, I'm not committing to sending a bunch of guys because they're not going to get there.
Right.
Like you're almost kind of like wasting the pressure situations where they're throwing so much, 5-10 yards and even down the line of scrimmage. Just a lot of real quick action. Had a real nice throw that Kenny Johnson caught over, like kind of like a Braden Smith catch last year at Pitt. But other than that, it was just a lot of the announcers kept saying like the take what they give you thing, which is true. But I'm like, the Kent State DBs are like 12 yards off the ball, like that's what they're giving them. So yeah, I mean, they're not even so. Desmond Reed, small, quick back. He's the punt returner. It'll be interesting to see his ability against a much bigger, physical, more athletic defense. But we know UC had trouble defensively at times, especially stopping the run. I think it will be a challenge with their group of wide receivers. Like, it is a nice collective group. And how UC decides to – because, you've got 4 guys in the tight end. You can't just let them stand back there. Like, even if we say they won it, like, a lot of it was underneath stuff. And I think Keegan said there were only 4 completions or something out of almost 40 or 30 that were 15 air yards or more.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to rush 3 and drop 8 all the time, or you're not going to be able to get there with whatever your pressure package is, he's going to have, like, those guys are going to get open. And he showed to be a pretty accurate quarterback. Now, it's a little harder to tell how accurate when so much of it was within 15 yards. They weren't taking a bunch of shots down the field.
Right.
So, but you're going to have to, like, flooding the zone with 8 guys is great in theory, but if he's got 3, 4, 5 seconds back there, like, there's going to be an opportunity to find somebody open. A lot, they ran the ball. Desmond Reed had a really good game, but overall, I'm just not sure. Kent State is, they're bad. Is a nice way of putting it. Like, if you want to, like, it's one metric.
But they were the second worst FCS team last year.
Well, they were the youngest team in the country, and they scored the fewest points in the country last year. I think they only averaged like 14-point-something points a game. But so, saying all that, SP plus, which is, again, 1 metric, 1 week. So I don't know how much it's worth. Towson, which Bill Conley now rates every team. FBS, FCS, Division II, Division III, like 700 and something teams. He puts into a full rating. After week 1, Towson is rated 186 and Kent State is rated 189. I sent Keegan a text. Towson's quarterback was significantly better than Kent State's. Like, Kent State's quarterback has amazing hair and a great mustache. He should be in like a 1980s rock band. Just straight, long black hair all the way, like halfway down his back. And a mustache. But not that great of a college quarterback. Like, Towson, I think Towson probably gave UC a better representation of like a full opponent than what Kent State gave Pitt. Yeah. Kent State's running game didn't make any sense to me. They ran everything out of the shotgun with the back to the side, but with no threat of the quarterback ever running. So it was like we're starting our running back at a dead standstill against a defensive line that does get off the ball quick, like has a good amount of aggression to them. And the guy was practically getting tackled as soon as he took the ball from the quarterback. They didn't strike me, Pitt that is, their defensive line didn't strike me as a bunch of big guys. It was more of, we're getting off the ball quick. I think they had 5 sacks, but even in the run game, they were in the backfield all the time. Kent State, I think, had negative yards rushing in the first half. But so it'll be interesting to see how UC's offensive line certainly, it's a jump up for both teams. Let's be real. I mean, both these Kent State and Towson, FBS, FCS, there's not a lot of variance between the two, I don't think. So it's going to be a jump up for both teams. How does, could Pitt's defensive line be that aggressive against a much bigger physical offensive line and some running backs that are, legit guys? Can Cincinnati's defensive group, clean some things up against a smaller, quick back? I think the backs from Towson had some good size to them. And this kid is small. I mean, 5'7", 185 might be giving him some credit. He is tiny. But they got a big offensive line. Center transferred in from NC State. Left tackle's one of the better ones in the ACC. So, I think it's a good game. I mean, I think it'll be just very similar to last year's game. I mean, I think there are probably 2 teams that are looking to make a step up from last year after disappointing seasons. Feel like they got better at quarterback. Feel like they added some playmakers on offense, and
they couldn't have got much worse at quarterback than they were a year ago when UC played them.
No, Phil Dracovic was not great. I mean, he was gone, and they ran out the whole offensive coaching staff. So, Cade Bell comes in from Western Carolina as the OC. They were running they're not go every play. They did a nice job of varying speeds. But I would say when they
get on the ball every play, and then they vary the snap, right?
When they were going, they were snapping between 30 and 25 seconds left on the play clock, which is a polar opposite of what they were doing last year.
Yeah.
Now, one drive later in the first half, it was more of a traditional, take our time, getting to the line, take our time, I think that's when teams make it hard. Like, if you go at the same pace all the time, the defense is like, okay, I'm ready, get my hand down because I know I'm going. But when you kind of mix that up a little bit, I feel like it has the defense is waiting and they're almost relaxed. They're like, oh, they should have gone by now. Like, they've been going at this time before. And now I'm kind of waiting, and I'm not relaxing, but I'm just not as, attentive and ready, because it's not this truly hyper speed. So it'll be interesting to see how they vary that, or if they do, or, how that works. And that might be part of all the underneath stuff too in the first game for for Eli is like, we're going to go fast. We want you to be confident in what you see. So we're going to give you, one read, maybe two reads. Right. We're going to, because we want to go quick. We want you to get used to playing this pace in a game. And then as you get more confidence, then we'll play around with, because you go that fast, like they didn't put anybody in. I don't know if there was any motion. It's hard to change personnel if you do, and motion, or do anything like that, or audible, and still snap the ball with 27 seconds left on the play clock.
Right. Defensively, it's a Pat Narduzzi defense, right?
Yeah, they want to attack. They're going to come up the field, especially on the defensive line. They got some nice DB transfers. They were there last year, so they're not new.
They lost a lot in the portal, though, didn't they?
Yeah, they lost
defensively.
2 defensive linemen. At least one of them went to Colorado. Maybe both of them did. But they brought in a guy from Kansas State. They have a true freshman playing one of the ends. They lost a linebacker to South Carolina, I think. So there is some newness to the defensive line. I think it'll be they play quarters coverage, so predominantly quarters coverage, which means the soft spots should be the middle of the field. So Joe Royer on some seam routes, receivers on in breakers, receivers on posts, could be where UC is trying to exploit. So, again, it's hard to tell. Quarterback's first game, you have nothing to compare to. Running back's first game, he's in the Western Carolina transfer, playing the defense that was, similarly to like the first half or even really the whole game. Like UC probably could have named their score if they truly wanted to, if they wanted to have Brendan Sorsby throw the ball 50 times, they could have scored 60 points.
Sure.
Like they were not stopping UC in the pass game at all. And Pitt probably feels the same way of we kind of could have done whatever we wanted. So it's hard to really take a ton from. He did throw a god-awful interception in the red zone. One of the worst interceptions I've ever seen. Floated just lollipopped a 5-yard out, and the DB just came underneath and picked it off and ran it back 60, 70 yards, and they ended up not scoring because their terrible quarterback threw an interception. But yeah, awful interception. They just took some sacks on they ran some trick plays that did not work at all. So we'll see if those get shelved for a little bit. If those were hey, let's put it on tape and make UC plan for it. And it's these did not work at all. So maybe we need to practice them a little bit more before we try them against a team that, can beat us.
It was essentially like putting a car wreck on tape.
Yeah. It was let's try this double reverse pass, and it ends up with a 17-yard sack.
Not great, Bob. Not great. Special teams, are there anything notable?
Returning kicker, but they're going to put the Desmond Reed kid back at punt, so you have to be cognizant of that. But again, if Mason's kicking it the way he kicked it all fall in Saturday, I'm not going to be too concerned about someone breaking a punt return.
Yeah.
If we kick off, other than the kickoff that we kicked out of bounds, I don't think any of them were returned, were they?
But there were 2 punts.
No,
on kickoffs.
Yeah,
I don't recall. I'm just going through my brain. I don't recall.
So
other, they got the extra yardage for the one that was out of bounds.
Right, but no, I don't think there were any actual returns on us in the game.
I don't think so either. Going back through my brain, I don't recall them taking anything out of the end zone.
Yeah. So, I don't even know if they fielded half of them. They just kind of let them go.
Yeah.
So, who knows there? Because again,
if this goes a little south, is Narduzzi, if they lose this week, there's no guarantee that West Virginia is probably going to be better than them. Is Narduzzi maybe in a little trouble here?
mean, I thought he was
Potentially.
After 3-9. I thought he was in more trouble than he obviously was. I think he cleared
Did
everybody
he
out.
get a big contract extension after the
Probably
ACC title game
when
season?
they won the ACC title game with Pickett in 21. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would guess. And then made the staff changes on offense and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I think it. I think. I don't know. I think obviously being at home will hopefully help. It didn't really help UC much last year, so it's not like we can necessarily take that to the bank. But offensively, I just like UC won that game last year against them with I don't want to say smoke and mirrors offensively, but like it wasn't I mean, Emory completed a few like insane throws on like big third downs in that game. But it wasn't a great offensive game. I think we feasted more on the fact that they were for 3 quarters essentially offensively inept.
Yeah, and even in the fourth quarter, they were just like chuck and pray. Like it wasn't like they ran some good offense. They were just throwing it deep and hoping for the best.
Yeah, no, I agree. So,
and UC dominated their offensive line last year.
Yeah, they did, and that was the part that we were like, man, if this is what the defense is going to look like, and then I don't know if we got that much pressure all told the rest of the season.
Maybe against Houston a little bit, but like it wasn't anything like that.
No.
Like that was they dominated Pitt's offensive line, and came on this network throughout that week. Like, man, there was talk about UC having the best D line in the country, and people might be right, or not the best, but like a top 10 D line in the country,
a good one. We'll just say
right.
that.
People might be right, and that was an illusion, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, we're 50-something minutes in. We haven't mentioned Dante Corleone's name yet, so
no, I was going to get to that.
How much
we were talking more about Pitt.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think looking at the game in whole, but yeah, I mean, I think can we force some turnovers? Like Holstein put the ball. He obviously had the one. He could have had more. Can this new put together DB group get their? They came close on a couple, especially the Jonathan Thompson one. That would have been a hell of an interception. But
yeah,
can they force some turnovers? Can they get some short fields? Really give their offense a chance to jump out on them. Stuff like that will be key. Because they have the guys talent-wise. Pitt does offensively. Like they're gonna stress the defense, especially with the tight end. That'll be interesting to see how we want to cover that. I think it probably does help, at least on some level, that Towson had a very good tight end who was a focal point of their offense.
Yeah.
Even though the offenses will be structurally different, at least they'll be taped to go like, okay, here's how we defended him. Here's what worked. Here's what didn't. Here's what we liked. Here's what we didn't like. So maybe, because he's a traditional tight end. Like I don't really think they line him up out wide. He's going to play very similar to the way Towson's tight end did, mostly, just on the end of the line or up on the line, depending on the formation. So that could be a small benefit of just already going up against a team that uses the tight end in that manner.
Let's get to Corleone, the Godfather, back at practice on Tuesday. Not a guarantee yet that he will play on Saturday. It's all going to depend on how his body reacts from, day to day. He practiced full yesterday. How did he feel today? How's he going to feel tomorrow? How are they able to get him ready? But, I mean, honestly, Dave, I think I would be surprised if we don't see him. Like, I don't think there's necessarily going to be a snap count on him. But I do think, obviously you're probably not going to want to, hey, go give me, they ran 80 snaps. They're running with tempo. They're going to probably try, like, I would guess when they see Dante on the field, they will go fast.
Oh, yeah.
Like, strategically.
For sure. I would.
And
I wouldn't give him any chances to sub him out on like a, if we're on play 5, 6, 7 of a drive or something. Hell no.
Right. So you get back to the line, you don't substitute, you keep your offensive personnel against their defensive personnel on the field. You try to wear him down a little bit in the hopes that they're not able to use him at the end of the game.
Right.
Where they, UC gets to a point that, okay, he played this many, like we probably going to have to go in a different direction the rest of the way, because this is a guy that's still, whether he was at practice or not, he wasn't going with the 11s. He's not going to be in, tip top middle season football shape. He hasn't been
getting blocked by 200-300-pound guys, 5, 6, 7 plays in a row.
Right. So, I think I expect that from them to try to take that and say, let's see if we can push the limit on this guy and, get him as worn down as humanly possible.
It is funny though, if he does play, the weather conditions will certainly be a help.
Yeah.
Like, just such the change from last week, and looking at for his ability to play and play well, and how many snaps, what does that look like? I think that's a huge factor in it all. And I don't want to say just the presence, because I think that is underselling things. Like, it doesn't mean that they're going to be this, like, all of a sudden much, much better defense just because he's standing in the middle of the defensive line. But, I think it certainly grabs the attention of Pitt when he is in there. He has a track record. He has a reputation.
Right.
You have to block him different than you block somebody else, whether it's on UC or on Kent State. Like, you have to give him the attention that he's earned. So what does that do to the rest of the defense, as far as not just like, I've heard people say like the emotional element of it, the confidence, but just what does that allow a Jarrett Bartlett to do, or a Jake Golday, or an Eric Phillips, or anybody else? Just what is the attention to him now allow somebody else to do that gives them a matchup that is more favorable?
And I also think, like, when you look back at that Towson game, I think the ends were crashing in to protect the middle. Like, it didn't feel like there was a whole lot of outside edge contain from the defensive ends, because they probably were cognizant that they're vulnerable a little bit in the middle of the defense. And are those guys able to maybe stay at home a little bit more, which widens like the gap that the linebackers have to fill? I do think, and Pitt, like, their power back is out, right? Like, they're the guy that's going to start is like their third back, right?
Well, Ronnie Hammond's ineligible, and then I don't know where. I know they had another back who's dealing with some injuries. I don't know if he would have been 2 or if Desmond Reed would have been 2. And then I guess there's another back that played that is more on the, I would say more on, anybody is more on the power side than Desmond Reed is, but is more in the traditional back mold. So,
point being, I don't think they're running Desmond Reed off in between the center and the guard a whole lot.
No, I wouldn't think so. They did a decent amount against Kent State, but again, Kent State don't have Dante Corleone.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't think that would be a super wise thing to do, or a thing that they would be looking to do. I would be trying to get the guy to move as much as possible. Make him run. Don't just run. You're going to block him with 2 guys more times than not, but don't then just run right at him. Make him move.
Have to chase some stuff down. Make him, have to play middle to the sideline a little bit more than maybe he wants to. Yeah, I mean, look, it's Cincinnati's best player. Like, he was an All-American. He was all Big 12. Like, it would be silly to play to his strengths, and I can't imagine they've got an offensive coordinator looking to make a nice impression in the first big game for his new head coach to just try to run the little guy at Dante Corleone all day.
No. I don't think their offensive coordinator is Eddie Gran, and we're going to see Ralph David Abernathy running up the center's ass 20 times a game.
No comment. No comment. Anything else on this game you want to get to?
Are we doing predictions?
You are, yes. My prediction comes on Friday in the staff prediction article.
Okay.
I'll give my thoughts, but the prediction is all yours since you do not participate in the Friday staff article.
You're right. I like the Bearcats. I mean, we said that we liked the Bearcats in our season preview. I'm certainly not backing off of that in week one. After week one, it's a very tight line for the junkies out there. I think it's going anywhere between 1 and 2, favored to the Bearcats.
I think I saw it jump as high as 2.5 yesterday when it was announced Corleone
had returned, but I think I have a little. I mean, maybe I'm just buying I'm already just buying the Brandon Sorsby hype. Keegan's going to jump on here and tell us to watch out for him for Heisman like last year. But
it's Brendan, by the way. Tommy
yeah.
Tuberville.
It's still a Pitt defense, but I'm not sure they have like to me right now, at least in watching them for one game against Kent State, like I don't see that edge guy that they've always had that you really have to like. Even last year, they had some dudes that got after us pretty good and pretty quick. They have some nice pieces, but I don't see a Dante Corleone. I don't see a nose that's a true like 320, 330 run stuffer. I don't see those traditional Pitt ends that they've had so often. And they had 5 sacks. I think that was much more to do with Kent State than them. So I think I like the Bearcats maybe a little bit more than the boys out in the desert. So I'm going to say, Dante's return, home crowd, a chance for the defense to kind of take another step, maybe show a little bit more, play a few less guys, get some, probably drill down a little bit on what we're trying to do, where we made our errors. So I think I'm going to go UC 34, Pitt 24.
So that would be under, right?
I don't know what the over-under is.
I think it's 59 and a half or something along those lines, right? Under 60.
If that's the case, then yes, that would be under.
I have a hard time seeing this game going under. I think there's going to be some points scored by both sides. I don't have the utmost faith that this defense is ready to hold somebody to a low point total yet. Hopefully, you do have some sudden change. Maybe you do have some turnovers that end drives. But I guess the question for me is how much is Pitt going to be committed to running the ball? Because I think that's right now, even with Dante, I think that is the way to keep this defense off balanced is to get, 4, 5, 6 yards of play on the ground. And if you're moving fast, they're trying to find answers and filling gaps. And then you can sneak guys behind. And if it is going to be a quick 1-2 read system for them more often than not when they throw the ball, I think both teams are going to be above 30 personally.
I could certainly see that. I really just, and if that's the case, I'm most interested in seeing and
also, Dave, it is going to be a perfect day to play offense.
Oh yeah. Does Brendan Sorsby in this offense, are they more equipped to be in a game like that? I mean, that was not possible last year. So, I mean, obviously I want the Bearcats to win. I don't care how it happens. I mean, I would be totally fine with a win in my score and it being 51-45 and my score prediction looks ridiculous. But that would give me some positive feelings of like, okay, maybe this defense is going to take longer than anybody hopes, but at least we have an offense that has the capability to get in a shootout.
Right.
Last year it was like you go down 10 points, you were screwed.
Jeff, I don't succumb to peer pressure from the peanut gallery. Jeff, I see a higher scoring game. I don't think it's going to be 51-45 or anything crazy. But I do think both teams get above 30. I am at this point leaning towards a Cincinnati win, as we talked about in the preview show. I don't have any real reason to. There was nothing that either team showed Saturday that makes me like sway from what I felt a couple weeks ago. So I will very likely be predicting a Cincinnati win. I just think the point total is going to be a little higher than maybe we anticipated a week ago. And some of that is, one, Cincinnati looked really good offensively, although the Victor Dawson run was a big part of that. And then you had the Evan Pryor run in the fourth quarter at the end of the game where they ended up kneeling it out. Those are some empty calories.
They had two drives. They had the drive before half and the drive at the end of the game that probably counted for at least 100, maybe around 100 yards of total offense.
And then you had the Dawson run where he fumbled.
Right, 50,
that's 145
yards or something. Yeah.
So probably closer to a 500-yard day than it was a 650-plus yard day. But 500 yards is that's a pretty damn good offensive performance. Yeah. The one thing that does worry me, as much as I have hyped up how good Sorsby is on play action, and he was excellent on play action, the times that they used it, analytically, that was his best metric, type of offensive success when he was at Indiana was play action. I think he backed that up. His worst was against pressure.
Yeah.
And, we didn't really see any of that against Towson. So you're going to see him get pressured more against Pittsburgh. Let's see what Scott Satterfield has drawn up in terms of getting it out quick and finding a hot read if you sense a blitz, or audibling to a run on something that was a pass. If you think that, something's there, what are his capabilities? What are his, what's he allowed to do? What's he not allowed to do in game 2,
right.
Running the show in terms of making checks at the line and doing things of that nature. So, I still feel like, this offense is going to have some success against Pitt, and just got to put the ball in the end zone because it's a lot of yards. And like I said to Aaron, I wasn't overly concerned with I didn't think they had a lot of they didn't look sloppy in the red zone. They didn't look like they were poorly organized when they got the ball down close.
How many? They officially went 3 for 5, but to me, it's really 3 for 4.
Yeah.
Untouched because you missed a field goal.
They took a knee.
You took a knee. You weren't trying to score.
Right.
It counts as a red zone trip, but you have to put it in the context of the game. If they would have ran two, if it would have been the first half with 8 minutes to go, they would have ran 2 more plays and probably scored a touchdown.
Do you know on the Dawson play, does that count as a red zone trip?
No, because you didn't snap the ball.
In the red zone.
Yeah, you didn't snap the ball in the red zone.
I didn't think so, but I wasn't sure.
At least from the way I would view it, it wouldn't. I mean,
right. Maybe I'll ask Stipe on that next time I see him. But I'm guessing that's the way it
You
goes.
can
You
probably
didn't
just
take a
look at
snap
this.
in the red
I
zone.
mean, we know all the other all the other
Yeah.
drives. I mean, you could just look at the stats and see what it says, what out of what.
I don't have any desire to go dig back up the stats from the town.
But you have desire to ask Zach.
Yeah, I can just ask Zach. Hey, does that count as a red zone trip?
Make him.
I don't. Yeah, well, I think
No,
he would probably know.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, because if then you
Jeff, look that up while you're here.
Then you'd have to say before you always hear the Bearcats have now entered the Toyota red zone or whatever. So right before they snap the ball in the first plane or whatever, whoever the sponsor is. So no, I wouldn't think so, but I don't know that for certain.
I'm guessing no, but whatever. All right, Simone family tailgate. I
don't know.
Never mind, Jeff. You don't know what's for lunch or breakfast on Saturday morning?
Actually, I think now that you say it, I think it is going to be the breakfast tailgate.
Okay. Makes sense. We'll see when I can get there, when I can't. I've got to drop my kid off to go to a volleyball tournament in the morning before I come. So I don't know how much availability.
Is volleyball just different than other sports? You just have like a bunch of weekend stuff in high school?
Well, a bunch of there's almost a tournament every weekend. This one, Dave, they don't play. It's a varsity tournament, but the freshmen and JV have to go. And so it's a tournament that all of the proceeds benefit. It's like a Wounded Warriors thing.
It makes my head hurt.
They got to go support their teammates. They've raised. So we do remember the bake sale. All the money we raise for the bake sale goes to this charity. It's like a big thing that the program does every year. And then they travel down into Kentucky for this tournament. They present the check from all the money that they've raised from the bake sale at the tournament. So it's a mandatory. Everybody has to be there. All hands on deck type deal. So I have to drop her off sometime in the morning, and then it's like 2 hours. It's down in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. So it's like the 2.5 hour drive on a bus there, and then the 2.5 hour drive back. So I don't know when I have to drop her off. I don't know when I have to pick her up. I just know that I'm responsible for.
I think she should spend the night at Friends Friday night.
I think she should too.
On the team, and they can deal with that. You have a work obligation.
Yeah. I guess I can't do that because Friday evening she is going out with my best friend's wife to shop for a homecoming dress.
Oh, okay, got it.
Maybe she could spend the night at my best friend's house, and then my best friend's wife could take her.
All the joys of it sounds like a lot of joys of having a high school aged kid playing sports.
Yeah, she's not even playing, so.
Oh, but anyway, yes, I believe it is a breakfast menu. So,
all right.
Will be there again. He's going to the game with me. So
nice. Just you and Will. The missus is staying home this time.
No, she has a hair appointment in the afternoon. So I'm taking him, so she doesn't have to cancel that because we have no one else to give them to because everybody we know goes.
Everybody's to be at the game. Yep. It's the joy of having kids. And then, I've got the dogs to worry about. How long can I leave the dogs here? Because let's be honest, that was a long game Saturday. Yeah. A lot longer than a game against Towson should be.
Right.
And if Pitt throws it around and UC has to keep up, we're probably going to be at Nippert Stadium for a while.
Yeah, it could be an old school 4-hour affair.
At least the weather's going to be delightful.
Mm-hmm.
How did you handle? Is that your first ever tailgate not drinking?
I mean, probably not ever, but in a while.
I think I remember one you were sick a couple years ago where you're like, I can't. I feel like crap.
Probably.
How many Diet Dr. Peppers did you go through?
A couple. Had a lot of waters. I mean,
Is that the
honestly,
over-under
though,
now on is Diet Dr. Peppers? How many Diet Dr. Peppers
Yeah.
is Dave going to drink on game day?
it was pretty wild, though, to, like, feel good in the fourth quarter and, like, go home and still be like, I feel I don't have a raging headache. I feel there we get the full menu. Full menu.
Breakfast burrito, egg casserole, sausage, geta, bacon, bagels, Jello shots. Stop with telling Will fun things to say, Chad. Oh, I got a lot of stuff.
You're
still.
a bad influence. He came home and all he was doing was going, look at my finger, look at my thumb, or whatever you were telling him about his fist, and you better
see
run.
this finger, see this thumb, see this fist, you better run.
Yeah, I got that one like 10 times. Then I was like, see this fist, you better run. I don't need to show you the finger or the thumb, buddy. You can skip right to the fist part.
I've got plenty to still teach
well, then
Will.
maybe one of these days you can take him home after the game.
No. That's the fun of being like
exactly. That was like I was always my friend's kid's favorite guy, because it was like I'd be like I'd get them all riled up and be like, all right, see you later, guys.
I gotta go.
Yep.
Carrie, I'm sorry, but this is what Uncle Chad is here for. Here's the other thing. I have to entertain him to keep him from trying to beat me up the whole time.
It's true.
So I got to find something fun to distract him from trying to sneak attack me at every chance that he gets.
He does like to fight.
So, get your grandchild under control, and I won't have to teach him bad things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I think that about wraps up the Pitt preview. As hold on one second here. Let me get Aaron's responsibilities taken care of. There we go. That's a timestamp brought to you by Turtles Brew. 6% ABV, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free, bourbon-infused sweet tea. They have strawberry mint, lemonade tea, cherry lime, raspberry peach, orange vanilla. There's over 100 locations throughout Ohio. Visit turtlesbrew.com for more information and locations, and also the debut of Wicked Hair. It will be sold at Martino's the first time on sale. This is a little stronger, 8%. I believe it's grain-based, Dave. So Everclear in a can type of deal.
Oh, so like freshman year of college.
Right, and it's got fruit punch and lemonade tea and mango tea, and you can get those at Martino's on Saturday. So check those out. And then Live Healthy Hydrate as well. Did I tell people how to find them in that?
Or live. Either way.
Live. God, son of beach. Live Healthy. I'm glad you have to do that on Sundays because I would mess it up every time.
You're used to it with your eco ad reads.
Yeah, there's sometimes you're just reading and you're not fully paying attention. LiveHealthyHydrate.com.
No,
you should not LiveHealthyHydrate.com. Fortunately,
what makes the most sense? Live healthy? Do you live healthy or do you live healthy?
Right, I know, but for some reason there is a block in my brain. Live healthy. Fortunately, they're spelled the same.
This is your new Tulsane.
It is. There's always something that gets stuck for some reason in my brain, and my brain will not let it go. It is like, no, I am right, and I'm like, no, you're wrong. So it's basically like arguing with me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can definitely agree with that.
Anyhow, college football. Dave, our weekly stroll around the college football landscape. It was a busy one. I'll let you take it away while I die.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. Yeah, it was. It was like, are you okay? First off.
Yes, I'm good.
So yeah, it was was a weird week. I think there were a couple good games on paper going into the week that turned out to be kind of stinkers. One being Clemson, Georgia, one being West Virginia, Penn State. Like, I wasn't really surprised that West Virginia lost. I was kind of surprised in the manner. I thought it would be closer than that. But looking to this slate, I mean, right off the bat, Saturday, the one that's going to grab everybody's attention, noon, Fox, Texas at Michigan. Just a classic, matchup that we don't see very often. What? What's wrong?
Nothing. You just paused for a second. I thought you were going to.
Are we okay?
Out. But you're good. You're good. You're good.
Oh, I'm not sure about Michigan's offense in this game. Like, the spread's Texas -7.5. I know it's at Michigan. I know Michigan has a very, very good defense. What I think is probably the best defensive line in the country, but I'm not sure they are going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Texas, given what we saw against Fresno State. They won by 20. That included a very late 90-something yard pick six by Will Johnson. I'm not sure how they threaten Texas down the field in the passing game. So will be very interesting to see how that one goes. Iowa State at Iowa, is one 3:30 CBS. That's weird to say. Big Ten game on CBS as a longtime SEC guy. That's a strange one to get used to, but Iowa State had kind of a weird opening game, 21-3, I think, against an FCS team. Iowa looked like the same old Iowa with 6 points in the first half, and then had an absolute offensive explosion. I think, what did I see somewhere, that they threw more touchdown passes to a wide receiver in that game than they did like in the last 2 years combined.
It was something
or
crazy
something
like
just,
that, yeah.
Something just crazy like that. So, I think there's a lot of people watching Iowa State in the sense of, like, they weren't picked in that like upper echelon of the Big 12, but a lot of people felt like they could be that sleeper team that we have seen in the Big 10 or Big 12 so frequently lately, that ends up jumping up and going to the conference championship when they were maybe preseason, like 4, 5, 6, something like that. At Iowa's always good at home, always good defense. They basically own the series with Iowa State. Is this just another one of those games, or can Iowa State get kind of a pretty signature win for them? Unfortunately, there's not a lot of great this week either. Tennessee, NC State should be interesting. 7:30 ABC. Nico, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. I have not mastered that yet. We'll just call him Nico. Looked incredible in the first half when they did whatever they wanted against Chattanooga. NC State was in kind of a little back and forth game with Western Carolina for a decent amount, and then they took hold of it. But neutral site in Charlotte for some reason. Don't really understand why they just didn't make this a home and home. Like, I don't like those weird games like that. But two ranked teams. How did both teams respond from playing teams that they should have beat? Both with one with a very young quarterback, one that with a very experienced quarterback. I think we'll get to learn a lot more about both those teams after that. Matt does mention Colorado at Nebraska. NBC, 7:30. Nebraska seems to have a quarterback better than anyone they've had in I don't know how long. And Dylan Raiola, true freshman, played very well in the opening game. Colorado had, I would say, some struggles with South Dakota State outside of Travis Hunter, who, I mean, he is worth watching every, like, what week do we get before they start having like a Travis Hunter cam?
Yeah, just wherever Travis Hunter goes, we're
I
going
mean,
to
he's
follow
on.
him.
I mean, the biggest thing is like, can he continue at this pace?
I mean, we asked the same thing last year.
Literally, well, he's doing it full time now.
He did
I mean,
the beginning. I mean, that'll be the question. They at the beginning, remember, it was like Travis Hunter had 140 snaps, 130 snaps.
Yeah,
he did.
I think he played 142 snaps, maybe.
Now they backed it off as the season went on. But the interesting thing is, Dave, there was a story that came out today that now NFL guys are starting to ask, is he a better wide receiver prospect than he is a corner prospect? Because he's so good at both. How do you take him off the field?
I mean, yes, for sure. I'm just interested, like what you just said. How long is this doable all year?
Yeah.
Or does he get hurt? Or
you would think no.
Does production start to suffer on one end or the other? But if it does, I mean, I don't think there's any question that he's the best player in college football.
Yeah.
If he does this, like, he has to win the Heisman, right? It hasn't gone
to the last time a non-quarterback won the Heisman.
Right, exactly. It's been a minute. But like, I don't think there's any question he's the best player in the sport. And so if he continues to put up these type of numbers, I mean, he's probably not going to have 3 touchdown catches every game. But
yeah,
if he's able to play 120, 130, 140 snaps a game and make an impact on offense and defense, like, very interested to see where that goes for the whole year. Definitely going to go Boise State at Oregon, 10 o'clock, a Peacock only game.
Yeah, you got to have the Peacock to be able to catch that one at 10 o'clock.
Some late night cock if you want to watch the Ducks and the Broncos. But Boise State running back is worth staying up for and watching on his own. Ashton Genty, we talked about him a little bit Sunday morning. 250-ish yards, 6 touchdowns in their opening game. Oregon struggled with Idaho. Weird game. Like, Dylan Gabriel had a very, very good game, but they just didn't put the ball in the end zone. I mean, he was PFF's one of their highest graded quarterbacks in week 1, like 80-something% completion, well over 300 yards, I think 3 touchdowns, but that was it offensively. So
isn't that the Dylan Gabriel story, Dave?
Maybe it is.
We've watched this guy for like 14 years now.
I know.
He's never done anything significant in his career.
Well, he did do one thing significant. He launched the career of Sauce Gardner.
He did launch the career of Sauce Gardner. I will give him that. Congratulations.
So he didn't do it. He hasn't done anything significant for himself.
4 non-QB Heisman winners going back to 2000.
So we're
24 years.
We're a quarter of a century.
I guess we're about due. There hasn't been one in a little bit. So I would agree, though. He's probably the best player. I just don't know that the best player wins the Heisman.
Right. I mean, look who gets invited. It's like, who are the teams that have the best chance to win the national championship, and who are their quarterbacks who are inherently having good years? Because if they weren't having good years, then those teams wouldn't be in position to, be in title contention.
Randy Moss didn't win the Heisman.
Randy Moss didn't even finish second in the Heisman that year. Peyton Manning did. Talk about those 3: Charles Woodson, Peyton Manning, Randy Moss.
That ended up pretty. They all did pretty well.
Same year, but
they all did pretty well.
I'm having a hard time. I guess I'm gonna stay out west, another late nighter. So there is a couple good late night games this week.
Which is great. If you're a UC fan, you get a noon game. You get done with
home,
the game. Maybe you go get some dinner. Come
go home,
you got football
take a nap,
late.
or have some things you need to get done. And yeah, I'm going to go Mississippi State at Arizona State. I think ESPN 10:30. Arizona State, Wyoming was. I talked about that game last week as one that I thought would be a good game, and it was not. I mean, Arizona State blew them out.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see them again in the sense of like, okay, I think they surprised a whole bunch of people. I think it was them in Houston that were kind of considered to be the bottom of the Big 12. I mean, you beat what is typical, and we'll see what Wyoming is. But you pretty much dominate. I think it was like 40-something to 7, maybe. A lot of questions going into the year. So I'm interested to see SEC team coming out to Arizona. Jeff Lebby, first year at Mississippi State. They're going to, he's from the Mike Leach, Art Briles tree. Art Briles is his father-in-law, actually. So we're going to see what that kind of offense looks like, back at Mississippi State, and just kind of what is Arizona State in this game after a pretty surprising, I think, to the national look in week 1.
Yeah. It's getting interesting already. I know people are afraid that the 12-team playoff is going to make college football less interesting. I feel the exact opposite. There's going to be 20 teams, 25 teams jostling for position all the way through November.
That's the thing. You can look at it one of two ways. You can say, some people will say it minimizes the regular season because now you can have one or two. I
think those people are stupid.
Well, I don't 100% disagree with you. But at the same time, it keeps more teams in it at the end of the season. So you're in late October into November, and you might have already had one loss or even 2 losses. But your schedule sets up, and you're like, we still think we're pretty good. If we go on this run, we're still
playing our best ball in November. We're surging. Our quarterback has experience.
We're not already out
healthy.
Of it. Yes. So I like it from that aspect. I do think it will take some time of the collective mindset of the fan to not equate wins and losses to good or bad, because we've been conditioned, because it's been either 2 teams or 4 teams that you basically have to be perfect outside of the SEC or Big Ten, where you can take a loss and sometimes 2 and still make the playoff. We have to condition that there are going to be 3-loss teams that are in the playoff, and that doesn't mean that it's bad because there's a 3-loss team in the playoff. Like, you have to be able to get out of the mindset of like, the only thing that matters is wins. If you have losses, you can't even be considered to the playoff. You're just, which is, it's just great that we're going to put that much more on this committee that, has had a hard enough time getting 4 teams right. And now, hopefully all the heavy lifting is done for them.
Yeah.
And we're not having major. I will not have time for the debate that we're going to have about like which 3-loss team is better, like, and should be the 12th seed or the 11th seed or whatever. Like, I don't.
Oh,
care.
It's coming.
Oh, it's coming. I'm just getting out in front of the like. I don't care. Pick one. I don't care.
I agree. No, I mean, I just think we're already at a point where like I'm getting excited about what these conversations are going to entail as we get into like late October and the committee rankings come out, and there's the teams 10 through 12 or 8 through 12 or whatever. It's probably likely that none of those teams are going to make it. The teams that are like 16 and 18 and 22 that have a good finish to the season are going to climb back into it. Like I'm just excited. I'm excited for the different
I can't
conversation.
wait till the loser of the Big Ten or SEC championship that already had 2 losses still makes the playoff.
Oh, if they're in the championship game, absolutely.
I'm just excited
automatically.
I'm just excited for the Twitter just meltdown of they didn't even win their conference and they got 3 losses. How can they be in the playoff? I'm like, well, who'd they lose to? Oh, Georgia, Bama, and Tennessee? That's how they can be in the playoff. The 3 other teams that they lost to are already in the playoff.
Well, right. And if you're Notre Dame now, they get maybe they would get in 10-2 because their 2 losses would not be good losses. They're not. They've got 2 decent games left. That was their Super Bowl against A&M.
Well, considering Florida State is on their schedule and is already 0-2, I don't think they play Clemson. I'm not sure if they play Miami.
They play Louisville.
But if you're not playing Clemson and you're not playing Miami, how much in this half ACC that they're in, they got Louisville, they got Georgia Tech, they got Florida State, and they got USC at the end. So the USC win helps them out a ton if USC, goes on to have a good year. But I did find it interesting that Miami, UC's next opponent, does not have a game this week. The old week 2 bye.
Week 2?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and then they play UC, and then they go to Notre Dame.
What's good, Ron? How many Big Ten SEC schools will get in? 7?
4. 4 in each one. More times than not. Maybe 8. 3. Yeah.
I'm thinking more times one gets 4, one gets 3. I think 7. I'll go 7.
Yeah, I think the SEC will get 4 almost every year.
And the Big Ten will get 3, sometimes 4.
Yeah. It's just a numbers thing. The SEC now, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee. If these teams
stop saying Tennessee.
Good,
Tennessee doesn't matter.
They're going to beat up on each
other. They're
not
getting in.
Oh no, I'm just saying moving forward in the 12-team playoff.
They still might not get in.
Okay.
I know you're a big Josh Heupel guy.
Which is wild for me to say. Oh, huge. Hey,
we've heard how much you love Josh Heupel on this podcast for years and years and years and years.
It's crazy who you can recruit when you have one of the biggest NIL budgets in the nation. Crazy.
Oh crap. One other thing, obviously, to get to before we get out of here, the Bearcats announced today that they will kick off the 2024-25 basketball campaign with a charity exhibition October 18th, the day after my birthday. That is in between my birthday on the 17th, then the exhibition game, then homecoming against Arizona State on the 19th. So that's going to be a big weekend here in Cincinnati. I will. You can bring me bottles of bourbon to the exhibition game. I don't know when Dave, I don't think I've had bourbon in 6 weeks.
Oh.
Not a single sip.
It's unfortunate.
I know. Tell me about it.
I could drop a line about charity from Rounders, but that probably wouldn't get us monetized.
Probably not. Just keep that
worm.
But playing Ohio State at Fifth Third Arena on the 18th. Further details on tickets and time available at a later date, but I'm all for it. I know there was talk. So a month, 2 months ago, maybe, I don't know, remember specifically, they were talking about allowing you to play open exhibitions against Division I opponents. That was not allowed under the past settlement or the past structure. You could play exhibition games against D2 and NAIA or whatever and open it to the public. But if you played a Division I school, it had to be a super secret scrimmage. That did not pass. But I initially, when that was a possibility, they were talking about an exhibition event with UC playing Ohio State and Xavier playing Dayton. And there was going to be one big basketball event. They tabled that. They didn't vote on it, so it didn't get shot down. But they tabled it for vote at a later date. So that wasn't going to be something that was going to be possible this year. So instead, it's going to be a charity event. It's run by the same charity that's running the Xavier Dayton scrimmage or charity exhibition. And then UC and Ohio State will have their own individual exhibition. Instead of it being one event, it'll be multiple events, which I think it's got to be probably better for the charity, right? To have multiple events.
Oh, yeah.
Unless it costs a lot more to run multiple events than it costs.
What's the operating cost?
Yeah. But I think it's going to be really interesting. Ohio State will have a new coach, although he did coach at the end of last season in Diebler. This will be his first year running an off season and running the program full speed into 2024-25 season. I think that's advantage Cincinnati, advantage Wes Miller because of the returners. Yes, it's going to be run like a scrimmage. That I don't think either side is going to particularly be, quote unquote, trying to win, but there will be an element of it's still Cincinnati, Ohio State. You would like to win. And I would assume, Dave, that is going to be homecoming weekend. I bet they try to get as many official and unofficial visitors hanging around that weekend as humanly possible.
I would. Speaking of which, sounds like there potential for some visitors on the basketball front for this game on Saturday. No?
Jalen Reese.
Oh.
TJ Crumble.
Yes.
No, I don't think there's going to be many unofficial visitors either. As I just said, I think there's a good chance you'll see some big names roaming around the weekend of homecoming.
Yes.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I think some of those things that were supposed to be happening this weekend might be happening in a couple weeks from now. If you know, you know. You know what I mean?
Would make sense.
The staff is on the road. It just opened up today that coaches can go back on the road for school visits and home visits. Wes made 2 stops today to guys that are going to be coming on visits over the next couple of weeks. If you want that information, if you want those names, BearcatJournal.com. Tad Dollar did stop in to see Jalen Reese, who is coming in town this weekend. And then Wes will see another official visitor that's coming in a couple weeks tomorrow with Drew Adams. So one with Chad Dollar today, one with Andre Morgan today, and then one with Drew Adams tomorrow. Generally, the way that this open period goes, Dave, you go see your main guys right away. And if you're wondering who they went to see right away, those names are on the board. I think it would give you a good indication that those names are at the top. But I'm interested, before we go on your take on this, Dave. Some of these numbers are crazy.
Yeah, I just read one that you posted.
Yeah. That number that I posted would make that freshman this year the highest paid player on the team.
Not interested. Just not. It's a non-starter for me. I'm not. You as a person in your life, in your normal life, wouldn't, let's just do it's not a 1-for-1, but do a comparison. Like, you wouldn't allocate funds to something that is that unknown in your day-to-day life. Why would you want your basketball program to do that as well? Like, they're not in a position to just be like, we can just, it's monopoly money. Like, it's funny money. We can spend whatever we want because some guy or some guys and girls or whatever are going to give it to us again next year. Like, I'm not doing that, especially with what the roster could need next year.
Yeah.
Like,
let's just hypothetically, like if you could take a freshman, a top 50 freshman, but not a top 20 and not top 25 freshman, a top 50 type freshman, or for the same price, you could get players on the level of Connor Hickman and Arrington Page. You can get two. Or the one freshman that probably is, if we look at the history that what freshmen are doing right now in the Big 12 conference, if you're not an elite 5-star talent, you're probably going to play what, 13, 14, 15, 16 minutes a game, probably going to average 5-6 points a game. Or you can go out and get a talented guard and a backup center for the same type price that you're paying for a freshman.
To me, it's the price matters, but to me, it's almost more of the known versus the unknown.
Yeah.
Like, I'm willing to pay more for the known.
And when you pay that much for the unknown,
in these cases, it seems like they're paying more for the chance to just get the unknown.
Well, you're hoping it's a long-term residual thing, but what happens? The unknown comes into your program, plays 14 minutes a game. They're pissed off.
There's how many
they transfer out.
There's how many
thousands
after a year of kids in the portal. Like, the chance that it's not going to work is almost verging on like better than 50% than it will with the young guys.
Yeah,
that are not in that top 20, top 25 group.
I'm not comfortable outside of the top 10. And some years, I'm not comfortable with that either, because I've watched the top 10 and I've gone,
Right.
Now, this coming year, 25, and I think that is part of this, is that the top of this class is so good. I think it's elevating.
The 40, 50 guy is probably more 30, 35 guy.
Yeah. Well, and they're getting paid because the money jump has been so big. I mean, somebody said it like, when NIL first started, like 500,000 was a massive amount. Now 500,000 is the buy-in. That's the price of sitting at the table if you want good players.
Right. And all that trickles down. I mean, if I got to pay X
$3 million,
X for this guy, then we know the guy down here knows that, so he's going to go, well, this is what I want. Right. And if you don't want it, guess what? Somebody else will.
Well, that's the thing, is they're going to
ask for it. And that might be a terrible decision on their part, but recruiting,
somebody pays it.
Recruiting, at the end of the day, it's who'd you get and who'd you didn't. I don't really, how the sausage is made kind of doesn't, you can tell me all about the close calls and this guy wants this. And okay, I mean, I understand, but like, did you get anybody or did you not?
Yeah. I mean, and more, it's becoming, it's the process is becoming much more like free agency in pro sports, because, the Bengals are notorious for this, right? They go into free agency with their own guys and they say, this is the price. We want to keep you. We will keep you at this price. If that is not enough, we're sorry.
That is the value that we have placed on you. It's not our problem if, I'll use them as an example, the 20 whatever Washington Redskins want to pay you 3 times more. Like, that's not our problem. And do you miss out on guys because of that? Sure, but you have to, 9 times out of 10, you have to stick to your guns. You have to, because that only hurts you in the long run, I feel like, is when you start chasing, in these situations, when you start chasing because you're desperate, you end up spending money on dudes that aren't good enough.
Yep.
Or you spend more money on a guy that maybe is good enough. And then you have, that's why this coming year is so interesting, is because this isn't like, we only need a couple pieces. It doesn't matter how much we pay. We got to get this kind of guy.
Right.
Next year, it could be
You need a bunch of dudes.
totally
a bunch of kind of guys.
right. So, and we only have X amount in the budget. Can we really afford to spend, whatever
1.25, 1.5
whatever the
of
percentage
million,
is, a quarter,
right?
30%, 40% of the budget
On two freshmen,
on guys that we like a lot, but for the 2025 season, probably aren't going to help us. And
if they do help us, we're probably going to be bad.
Right. And by taking them, what does that mean that we can't do with guys that we need? Because guess what? The mentality is going to be, everybody thinks this team's going to be good. If this team's good and they go to the tournament and then they have a great year, and so maybe all the good guys leave, guess what the fan base isn't going to be cool with? Us people being like,
bad next year.
Being bad next year.
Oh, you had one flash in the pan, everything broke right, and now look at them.
Right. So, and then the coaches wouldn't be cool with that either, and they have to have that mindset and be looking at that and going, we can't. Yeah, we got to have something.
And everything changes very soon again with revenue sharing.
Right.
And you don't know. You know how much money the school is going to be able to spend.
You don't know how much you're getting.
Is going to get to decide the allocation. Who gets what? Football's going to want a large chunk of that because they have the most players. They're going to look at basketball and say, you got 13 guys. We got 100. You got 15 guys. We got 105 we have to pay. We should get more of the pie than you. Substantially more of the pie. And there are going to be schools that say we're giving basketball a larger chunk. So basketball is going to have more to work with than what you've got to work with. Like, I said this like 10 times talking to Keegan today about this same topic off the air. We were just chatting. So I'm glad I don't I wouldn't, you couldn't pay me enough to have to make those decisions right now.
No. I mean, I would just, out of principle, I would be like, I'd have a hard time being like, oh, you're 17 and you want like $750,000 and you might not play 10 minutes until 2027 or 2026. Like,
right.
And that's what I'm supposed to give you. I'd be like, I mean,
that's for a year.
Right.
People need to understand these are not the length of the deal contracts. These are 1-year contracts. And you're going to have to pay them again next year. And guess what they're not going to want to do next year, Dave?
Take less money?
Take less.
Because they'll just transfer to a place that's going to give them even more money.
Exactly. You want me to take a pay cut? I'm going here to get a pay raise.
Yeah.
Kiss my ass. I'm out. Thanks for the development and the $750,000. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
Any of these freshmen, they better be real damn good, or I'd be like, just save it all for the portal.
Yep.
Give me the known. Give me a chance to continue what is hopefully build off of a successful season. So.
Yep. All right, I'll get you out of here in under 2 hours, Dave.
Appreciate it.
That. Oh, hold on. Aaron's not here.
What are we doing now?
Boom. How about that? That's going to wrap it up. We will see you next time. This is the BCJ podcast, brought to you by the Holy Grail. Live, live. Live, live. Live, healthy, hydrate. Thanks for bringing Caroline Endres on. She was great. Thanks to our friends at Turtles Brew and Wicked Hair. Thanks to Home Field Apparel. Thanks to everybody. We'll see you next time. It is the BCJ podcast right here on BearcatJournal.com.